Welcome to our school board interviews. I am Reverend Corinne Mack, president of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg NAACP. These interviews were done on an individual basis to allow you to hear directly from each candidate. Please take the time to listen carefully. But before I go any further, I must thank two phenomenal women, Ms. Annette Albright, who is our educational chairperson, and Mrs. Terrell Nichols, who is our political action chairperson. These women have done so much work to ensure that we elevate not only our children in the educational system, but this process. Please take the time to listen to every interview and make a decision as to who best serves you, your children, and your family. It's so important that we are involved in this process. This branch, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg branch, led the charge in the lawsuit against the state legislators for educational inequity, violation of the Land Law Act. That lawsuit will directly change the lives for Black, Brown, Indigenous, and children at risk. Educational equity is imperative. We're talking about our children and their futures. And so the work that we do on a daily basis is to ensure that we have a just system. Thank you again for your time, and I hope you enjoy every interview. God bless you.
I am Thelma Byers-Bailey. I represent District 2 on the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education, and for the last 2 years, I have served as vice chair of that board. I grew up here in Charlotte. I attended CMS schools, elementary, junior high, senior high at that time. And I went on to attend Fisk University, getting a joint degree in physics and math before launching into life. I have 2 adult children and 7 grandchildren. 2 of my grandchildren I encouraged to move here from California to attend CMS schools because I felt that we had something to offer them that they weren't getting in California. And they both graduated successfully and have gone on to college. I started to run for school board initially almost 9 years ago because as president of the Lincoln Heights Neighborhood Association, we were endeavoring to support our neighborhood school, and CMS decided to close the school. I thought that was a poor decision, and so I decided to run for school board to see if I can help them make better decisions. And I feel I have been able to do that. While I've been on the board, I was instrumental in getting West Charlotte on the board for a completely new school that you see in the background here, rather than just doing patchwork on buildings. And I also added Bruns Avenue School to the bond, which wasn't even close to being on the next list because they had monies set aside to make them a K-8, and they weren't going to be a K-8 anymore. I had endeavored to make sure that schools that were made K-8s involuntarily had a choice to go back to being a pre-K-5, and Bruns was one of them. I feel that's a parent issue. If there's a book on the shelves that the parents don't feel is appropriate, then they have the right to express their opinion. And the school should listen to what the parents have to say. If it's a book that is part of the curriculum, then the parents have a choice not to let their child read that book. They have a choice to choose a different book. Altering history, I'm not sure whether they are altering history or correcting history. The biggest science issue, well, I guess there's climate change. I'm not sure whether they are altering it or whether they are enhancing it. It depends on which side of that fence you're on. But I think the discussion is well worth having, and then let wisdom rule as to what the outcome will be. Get more buses, get better buses. How about getting some of the ones that don't produce the exhausts that are polluting the air? I think we have an aged bus inventory, and so it's time for us to get some new buses and get some of the pollutants out of the air. It depends on the age of the facility. We've got CMS has a lot of facilities that are well beyond their useful lifespan. And I don't feel that it's cost effective to keep patching and patching and patching when you can take that same money and build a new school that will last for another 50 years. That 50 years is about the lifespan, a normal lifespan of a building such as our schools. And when we keep patching them and trying to rehab them, what we end up doing is we're using old infrastructure, old heating systems, old air conditioning systems, old the filters don't really work anymore. Sometimes we can't even get parts for those old systems. So it's better to just bite the bullet and build a new system. And that was one of the reasons I advocated for West Charlotte to be a new school rather than continuing to patch the old buildings. We had a lot of old buildings. When we build a new school, then we have an opportunity to make it safer because it's safer for students to be in one structure rather than to be a campus full of buildings where they have to walk in and out of buildings. That means anybody can walk in and on the campus and create an unsafe condition. So we have changed the style of schools that we have, and it's much safer for the students. So whenever we can economically build a new school, it's much better. They get better services, they get better structures. It's just better for and the kids feel like, oh, wow, I've got this brand new school. Look how great it is. I get to go to a nice building rather than an old building that the air conditioner doesn't work, the bugs everywhere. No, I am a strong advocate for us building new buildings whenever it's necessary. There's a problem. It's a. I don't. I'm not quite sure. The problem is that when it's no longer free, and some students are still having in situations where they don't have the opportunity to have funds available to pay for lunch, then they're in a position where they have to bring lunch to school, which may or may not be nutritious. I think it was the best solution we had was when everybody got to eat a free lunch, even those students who could have afforded to pay for their lunch. Now we've got to go through this paperwork situation to prove that you can't pay for your lunch, so you get a free lunch. And then some of the kids can see, you get a free lunch, and I don't have to have a free lunch. So now you set up a system where kids can get bullied just because their family finances are such that they qualify for a free lunch when their table mate doesn't qualify for a free lunch. So I think it just solved everybody's problem when everybody got a free lunch. We've put up those scanners, which have practically eliminated the safety issue of guns in schools because the guns get caught before they ever get into the school. But that's only part of what makes a school unsafe. Another issue that we have is the bullying, which I just mentioned a minute ago. Kids don't deserve to be bullied just because they are different. And what we need to do in that case is make sure that people have their eyes on the students and listen to a student when they say they're being bullied, and make the necessary adjustments to confront the situation and help the bullier understand why that is not acceptable behavior, and find out why they are sometimes bullies are bullying because they have some issues within their home structure or an emotional structure that causes them to lash out that way. Hurt people hurt other people. And sometimes we're so eager to punish the bullier rather than investigate and determine what is the underlying reason for the bullying. We have a system called multi-tiered systems of support for to help to have staff available to help students deal with their issues, whether they're the bullier or the bullyee, and get to the bottom of whatever the problem is, so that both students can be educated in a healthy, happy environment. There are a lot of different reasons for those performance disparities. One of them is we don't have enough highly qualified principals and teachers to go around to fully staff all of our schools. We can't even fully staff all of our schools with just warm bodies sometimes. So that creates a deficit in terms of what the student is learning when they're in the classroom. That's a funding situation, because if we had the funds to hire highly qualified teachers and pay them what they deserve for the skill set that they bring to the table, then we would have more highly qualified teachers to go around to all the schools, including those schools that are currently experiencing a failing state designated rate of failure or lack of growth. That's a problem that we're having because we don't have enough staff available to teach all the students in a way that each student is capable of learning. Not everybody can learn from just sitting in a classroom. Some children need one-on-one work. They need a small group work. There are varieties of ways you can educate a child, but it takes time and it takes professional development to help new teachers come on board. When we get new teachers, we're excited to have them, but you don't dump a brand new teacher into a problem classroom or a problem school. You let them get their feet wet in schools that are not having problems so that they can understand how to manage a classroom and what delivery styles different students need who are not having very different problems. Once they get that experience and they get the professional development, then you can transition them gradually into schools that are in situations that are more challenging. My district is as a variety. We are not all one type of school. We have aging. We have schools that are over capacity. We have schools that are too old, which is why I'm so focused on facility issues and getting new schools for those institutions. But then we have schools that are doing magnificent work and aren't having any problems. So is not a one size fits all in District 2. District 2 recently was redrawn so that I lost the bottom half of the district to District 6, which is where we just built. One of my new schools was the Palisades School, but it's not my school anymore. It now belongs to District 6. I've got schools that are just knocking it well out of the park with CTE, Career Technical Education, down in Olympic and West Meck. We have schools that are we have magnet schools that are just nationally and internationally known for the talents that they produce, in like Northwest School of the Arts. So District 2 has a variety of schools and a variety of problems. We have schools that are challenged. We have schools that have not been successful in educating students the way that they deserve to be educated. And we're putting different partners in schools for instance, Renaissance West has a partnership that is just being piloting there this year, where if a student is ill, their parents don't have to come get them and take them to the
Hi, my name is Juan Enrique Hall. I'm a youth advocate worker. I have been working in CMS for the last 10 years as a volunteer, high school volunteer coach at West Charlotte High School. I graduated from West Charlotte High School. I'm a big community activist. I love working with kids. I am a firm believer in working with the Hispanic community. I'm also a firm believer in helping kids with dementia. And I'm a real supporter of the LGBT community for the kids that's in the school system that may get looked over, and kids with IEPs and things of that caliber. And I'm a real big person on trades being school, so our Black and brown kids can leave school with a certificate. I'm a father of 4. I am a diesel mechanic, and I also work on anything that's dealing with aerodynamics, such as aeroplanes, helicopters, and things of that nature. And the reason you should vote for me is because I can identify with the kids in the district, and I have been working with them, and I'm also a strict disciplinarian, and I feel that the schools need to have a zero tolerance when it comes to discipline. With censorship, I feel that books should be in the library for any kid to be able to read with their discretion. But I feel like if it's a book that a parent don't want a kid to read, then the parent should tell their kid what not to read or what they should read. But it's all at the end of the day, I really think it's up to the parent and the kid. But I think a book is a book, and it doesn't do anything to a kid. It's all about the kid opening up the book and reading it, and getting what they want to out of the book. I really don't know how to answer that question. Well, I feel that, like anything else, I feel if you pay a person a livable wage to do a job, I feel that the job will be fulfilled. It's all about giving a person, paying a person their value. If a job pays enough money, you would have more than enough qualified applicants to do it. But if you have a job that's not paying the person the money that they should get, then it's going to be a lot of openings. Like my father told me, if you pay a man his worth, he'll beat you to work every day if he worked for you. My position is it's cheaper to build a new construction than it is to remodel one. Because what it might take to upgrade a building, it weighs out way more than it is just to get new construction and a new blueprint and go with it. It's a whole lot cheaper than trying to get somebody to try to tear down the infrastructure and make it better. It's just sometimes it's better to just start over again, because like some of our schools now, like I was at West Charlotte High School, the school was built on a platform of which it just spread out. And so now the school building now it goes up. So modern technology, it goes up, it saves space, and it's more modern when it comes down to electrical. Honestly, I did not know if it was a problem with free breakfast and lunch, but I would say this here with the kids that I deal with in District 2, a lot of them are below poverty level. So I feel that lunch should be free anyway. It should come along with the school. It should come along with the money that the federal government give for the kid to go to school. It should be a given, because some of our kids do not, that's the only meal they get for that day. So it should be a given. At least we know that the one place that a child will eat is at school, because that should be the one safe place in this world that a child can go. The first thing of it is you need to count your student body. And I think that you need to see how many BMTs you would need uh, per kid, or per how many kids that's in the school. Number two, I think that you need to have cameras in the classroom, so that if a teacher is having a problem, you can look directly in there and see the problem. And number three, I just think that the respect level need to be brought back, for teachers need to be respected. And I think number two, Number four, you already have the metal detectors, which is a great thing. You also need to have a zero tolerance when it comes down to kids messing up in school. It should be a zero tolerance. The thing about it is like I'm in District 2, and a lot of our kids are having low performance because number one, the problem does not allow in the school. It allows when the kid leaves from school. Some of them don't have food to eat. Some of them don't have Wi-Fi. Some of them don't have parents in the homes. Some of them don't even have lights and water. So the first thing of it is we have to get the basic needs for our kids in District 2 to perform before we can even address any other issue. They have to have some type of tutoring program because the teachers are doing their job. It's just the fact of the matter when they leave the school, that's when the problem lies. So until we fix that problem, we can't go any further. The number one problem we have are the parents. The parents can't help the kids when they come home with their homework. The parents and the kid in the school system, the school that they're going to, it's a communication. The communication isn't there. And what we need to do is bridge the gap between the parents and the school. If we bridge the gap between the parent and the school, and the parent knows the teacher, it's more easy for the teacher to deal with a kid if they know who the parents are. And sometimes our parents are not seen until it's a problem. So until we bridge the gap between the parents and the school and get the communication better, and the parents understand who the administrators are, then that's the one thing that we need to do. And once if the communication gap is bridged there, then everything else can come into play.
Glad to thank you for this opportunity to share with you, and I was proud of the history and the advocacy and the work of the NAACP from its inception. I'm proud to be a member. I'm Reverend Dr. Monty Witherspoon, candidate for School Board District 2. I am a husband, a father, and a pastor. I was born and raised in Charlotte and attended Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, where I graduated from Olympic High School in 1998. I've been, as I've said in previous interviews, I've been approached by parents rather, who are absolutely terrified about the future of their children, for the future of their children at CMS. And I've also spoken with teachers who've worked extremely hard, not only in the pandemic or throughout the pandemic, but who put forth tremendous effort prior to the pandemic. And many of those that I've spoken with, they expressed that they've done exactly what they were supposed to do, down to the T, that the district told them to do. And yet and still we have the outcomes that we have in CMS. And the question is, what is the direction? Where are we going? And I share the same sentiments with these parents. As a father of a 4-year-old boy who will enter CMS next year, I want the best educational opportunities for my child, not only for my child, but for every child in the district. And as a leader of an organization, I know that firsthand that great outcomes only come with effective leadership. And I'm offering myself as a servant of this county to help all students, especially Black students, achieve the best outcomes and become productive citizens. I am a firm believer and an advocate for inclusive, culturally relevant, historically accurate books, materials, curriculum within our schools. And I think that when students are exposed to a diverse curriculum, and even more so an accurate history, that they become better citizens. And so I don't support any censorship, book banning, or any other name that it may go by. And I fully support students having access, full access to a rich, diverse, inclusive, accurate curriculum, and as well as materials. Obviously, as a Black man, I am very sensitive to any redactions or historical redactions. And I think that we have to have correct appropriations of history, of facts, of science, and all of the above. And I think that we should leave that work to those who are the experts, who are trained in history, who are science and teachers and such. So I believe that that work belongs to them. First of all, you know, many of the staff at CMS who are bus drivers, even our cafeteria workers, they are African Americans. And while I applaud the increase, I think it's just over $2 that they receive, I believe maybe last year, a year before. I applaud that. I think we need to do more. I think that I'm a firm advocate for paying workers a living wage and for the work that they do. And so obviously, if there's a critical shortage of drivers, we need to address that. But even more so, just from an ethical standpoint, I believe that we should do our best to pay them a living wage, something that they can live with, that they can provide for their families with, that they don't have to struggle to make ends meet, because bus drivers are critical to the education of our students. And I think we need to. I would be a firm advocate for increasing their pay. There are obviously students, I mean, it's not students, but there are schools, particularly in District 2, that they need completely new buildings for various reasons, for health and safety reasons, for also that will provide support learning environments, that will provide support instruction. The buildings are completely outdated, and they definitely need to be completely replaced. So I think that we have to target those existing facilities and completely rebuild those so that students can have. We talk about equity, quality education for students, and part of that is facilities. There are some students, in fact, that that is the only meal, or the only meals that in-school meals are the only meals that they will receive that day, that they'll eat. And I think it's important for us to fill that gap. I think the nutrition is a component of a individual's ability to learn, and you need brain energy, you need energy in your bodies. And so if you haven't eaten, a particular student hasn't had an appropriate, suitable meal at home, that breakfast and that lunch is critically important, especially for some of our students that are homeless, and there are different variables to homelessness. Not just, some folks may be living with someone else. The parents may not have their own space to live in. And but in short, I think it's important that we fill those gaps to any student who needs a lunch meal or any other meal. One is I think, going back to the facilities, we have some outdated facilities that they don't meet any standards of safety. And I think there's certain schools that need new facilities. Also, I think that also providing a culture where all students, where an inclusive culture where all students are respected, regardless of their race, ethnicity, identity, sexual orientation, religious practice, or whatever, and the rest of those things. I think we need a culture, a very inclusive culture, where all students are respected and staff, and regardless of their self-designations. But even more so, I think that we have to move beyond just providing visual representations of safety, and look towards evidence-based safety measures that will provide genuine safety for both students, teachers, and staff. And so those three components, I think, are very important. And also, the part of that is doing some work on the front end. That such, some, we have one group here in Charlotte that does violence interruption. So you need intervention strategies even before you get to the point where there are incidences of violence and threats to safety. One of the things that I truly believe in is that we need to restore high expectations of all students. And if we need to firmly believe that all students can learn regardless of their zip code, their parents' socioeconomic status, or any of those other variables, or the color of their skin. So I think that first, and I often push back on a narrative that seems to be pervasive, that Black kids are so traumatized and they're so impoverished that they cannot learn. And I push back on that very strongly, because I do believe there are a lot of systemic issues. I'm not denying that. Clearly they are. But if we don't believe that you can learn, have the ability to learn because of whatever the composition of your home is, whatever your the socioeconomic status of your parents, that you can't learn. That's just cautious. That's a word of caution for me. So I think that we need to restore high expectations of all our students and not lower standards. Secondly, I think that we need to fully implement the state mandated intervention plan, the multi-tiered support systems for students that clearly addresses is multifaceted program that addresses and has intervention strategies for various variables in the student's life and as well as their academic career. So I think that we need to fully implement that. And I've been saying throughout this campaign that one of the issues before was that they don't have enough money for it. Number one problem is the student achievement gap. Well, we have, as most of us will know, that we've gone from 42 to 50 low performing schools. 12 of those schools in our district. Even beyond that, we have 13 schools that are on the recurring low performing list, which means that they were on they were designated low performing schools 2 of the 3 prior years. And even out of that, the majority of the schools are still rated D and F. And so I think that my first platform point is student achievement. We've got to close the achievement gap for all students, particularly in this district. And I would say that that's the number one issue in this district.
Well, I hope you enjoyed those interviews. Now is the time to make the decision. I pray it was a help to you. But please remember that it's so important that you vote the entire ballot. Every position is a critical position and will, in fact, direct your family. As you go through this electoral process, think back to these interviews to make the determination on what's best for you. I hope that you enjoyed this time with us. I I hope you consider becoming a member of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg NAACP because we do the real work. We love you. We hope to see you soon. Please stay safe. God bless you all, and good night.